I felt that way for a long time. I was that guy at Remax. I wouldn't share any of my secrets, but I learned the hard way. And in my first company, I wouldn't share anything, with the people that were quote unquote under me, because I thought it was a self-limiting belief, and it was, it was basically my ego, and it was also pride, and it was also low self-esteem. I felt like if they knew everything I knew, that they would leave me. But the reality is, there's a freedom in giving away your best secrets and your best, so-called secrets to other people. It's just, so I give everything away now. It's like, you can hardly, one guy got upset with me because he went on my website. He couldn't figure out how to buy. I do have some things for sale. He couldn't figure out how to purchase. So I was like, man, I got to make this easier, because everything was like free. He was like, how do I buy something? He was upset about it. Honestly, the two things, so I read this book called Free. Let me see if I have a copy of it here. There was actually, yeah, here it is right here. So this is Chris Anderson. He wrote a book called Free. And it's just the name of the book, Free. And how are you able to monetize, like Google, free, right? But they make money. So how do you monetize but still keep it free? So as a business, now I have tons of business books, and I studied marketing. I studied branding. This is the kind of things I would study in my early 20s. I spent many decades actually studying influence and different things like that. My mom has a master's in psychology, so we kind of grew up with that psychological understanding of how people operate. And so books like the Power of the Subconscious Mind, I have a copy of it here somewhere. So my whole thing was, when I looked at the eXp model, first of all, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it doesn't even require a hemisphere or a spreadsheet, it was like so simply like duh, that it really is a no-brainer. I mean, because for me, it was like, because I'm a coach and trainer, so my question has always been, how do I get the price of my products down to free? Like, that has always been my struggle. Like, how do I just give everything away without having to be compensated? And because eXp's created a model, now this won't be a question that most people have, but for me it was. Since eXp's created a model whereby you can, build an organization, build a business, and be compensated for your efforts, it's a no-brainer. Now, at Keller Williams, the way I did it was, I had a $1,000 product, which I would discount to $700, and then I would teach people how to go get sponsors to raise the money for the product before they purchased it, right? Or purchase it and go get your sponsors. And that was my, my editable seller guide, which I still have available. I took 1,000 listings my first 10 years in real estate, so I was real serious on the listing side, and I did it with a lot of unique tools that I would use. And so I taught people how to go get your vendors that pay $100 a year to be on the back of the book, right? And then you've covered the cost of the system. So I was always coming up with creative ways where people could get my stuff, and I could still receive some compensation for it, so that I wasn't just, broke, right? Because I like money. I tried broke. I didn't like it. I didn't like it too well. So my thing was, I looked at, the education was very important, because, coming from KW, I thought education was it, and I'm an educator, so eXp checked that box. The revenue share was something that, for me, to be meaningful, it always had to be revenue share. I didn't think any company could do it, but I didn't realize that by being virtual, you could do that, and it just makes sense. See, I want a piece of the action, right? Not after you put your hands in it. I want a piece of the action. When you see these mafia movies, they're like, man, I want my 30% cut. No, it's not after you put your hands in it, right? It's off the top. So I like that part about it. I like the fact that when you grow your organization at eXp, it demands that you become a leader. Okay, now, not everybody will do this and they'll just get swallowed. But when you build an organization to 100, 200, 300 people or more, you got to step up. It demands that you increase your leadership skills, right? And then, the stock. I've been awarded exactly, right at about $5,000 a month since the day that I've joined eXp. I got awarded $0 a month at Keller Williams. In fact, at KW, I would have left with a lot of stock, probably $1 million in stock for all the months. I was there 120 months, okay? So, you know, compared to, anyway. So there was so many components to it that it just was a, it's not rocket science, and it's not even something. Now, here's the thing that I had to get over, and some brokers will have to get over this too, is if I never can don another Keller Williams office again, how am I going to sell my, you know, my toolkit and my products and things like that? Because it had already grown into fairly lucrative. I was helping them, they were helping me. And so I had to let that income go for the long game. See, eXp is a long game. You know, Shannon and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You were on a call, Shannon. Like, it's almost like when you look at your revenue share group, it's like watching the grass grow. You know, I had a client, he would go outside, all he did was cut the grass. He was retired. He'd cut the grass and then he'd just stand out in the back and just look at it. Like, dude, Raphael, go do something else, man. It's gonna grow. Check on it in a week. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times what we do is we want to check, and it's like watching the grass grow very slowly. But eventually it's just, so I understood about compounding and things like that. So for me, honestly, it was a no-brainer from that aspect. Does that make sense? So, and I tell people that you don't need to do this. I mean, if you look at the model Jesus left, he only went 12 wide. You know what I'm saying? So to go deep, really going deep is the game eventually. But I tell people, just focus on 25. Don't try to do 121. Now, by the way, they're not all still here, right? So right now, if you look at my front line, it's 90, okay? People leave. I mean, it's just the nature of the business. Well, why do they leave? Well, they either didn't have a good experience or they didn't want to do the work, you know? In most cases, it's they didn't want to do the work. Because Uncle Knolly tells you what to do, it's up to you to do it. Same thing with Shannon. Shannon will teach them all day long on KV Core that their eyes start getting glassy, and then he's like, well, look, I'll just do it for you. And they're like, well, how much is that? You know, they don't want to go that extra mile and do what it takes. But so for me, it's just consistency. It's consistency. And what I teach people is, if you would dedicate 4 hours a week to lead generation, because in order to do, so for me, it's about one out of every 3 join that go through the 4-step process. Okay, the 4-step process: number 1, make a big list. Number 2, reach out. Number 3, watch the model explained with them, okay, together. And then number 4, get them on a 3-way call. If you go through that process all the way through with a person, about 1 in 3 will join. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot. They're all coming, okay? Some join quicker than others, and some might join in a year, 2, 3 years. Doesn't matter to me. So I've got a list, like I've personally, so it's all about how many people you've talked to. So I've personally talked to probably 260 people that haven't joined, okay, and 120 that have. So it's about a third that joined right away, or, you know, that have joined me since, you know, I started talking to them. So when you think about it, when you do the math on it, even if you were to get 1 a week, all you've got to do is go take 3 people through that process every week, and you'll have 1 a week. Now what I teach most people is to focus on 25 in the next, and I even teach them, you know, within a year, you can get 25, you only have to have 75 conversations, okay? So that's about, I mean, not conversations, but 75 people that you take all the way through the process. So that's about 1.5 per week, something like that, if you do the math. So it really isn't, it's just consistency. It's time on the task over time, because that beats hard work every time, right? So, I mean, we learned a lot of these things from Gary. And so that's really all it is. It's just math. I've got mathematical calculators that will tell you if you want to attract 60, if you want to attract however many you want to attract, what you need to do, what kind of work you need to put in, or how many people you need to. It's just like listing appointments. You know, for me to take 10 listings a month, which was my average, my last year in production, I did 153 transactions, mostly on the listing side with no team. I just had 4 admin people. And so, you know, from that standpoint, it's just numbers. You know how you have to go on so many appointments, all right, in order to get this many. And it's more appointments on the attraction side because of ego, you know, because of the ego side. But who cares?